Hi there. In this video, we want to go through how to graph the sine graph with a vertical or a horizontal shift. Okay, this first equation I have for you is y equals the sine of x plus 2. From our previous study of transformations, you know that if it's x plus 2 in the quantity like that, that's going to indicate a shift to the left of 2. Okay, and then before I even start the graph, I want to just go over your critical points that we've been plotting for sine curve. Remember, if we're unwrapping that unit circle, you're going to start at 0. And again, we're doing this in radians. Okay, so 0, and then 1.57, 3.14. So I'm just thinking about going right around the circle, your unit circle, 4.71, and then 6.28. Okay, and these are the decimals of your radians coming around the unit circle. So at 0, you know, we start at 0, and then you go up to 1, 0, -1, 0, and those values are coming from the y coordinates for those quadrantal angles on the unit circle. Okay, so if we did a real quick sketch of the sine graph, change this up into a little different color here. You know, at 0, we're at 0. At a little past 1, we're going to go up here to 1. At 3.14, 0. 4.71, we're going to drop down to -1, and then over here to 6.28. Okay, and I'm just doing the gray so it doesn't mess up putting on the actual transformation. Okay, so there's your basic trig graph. or sine graph. I got a little bit crazy right here. Okay, but you get the general idea. Okay, so now let's do the shift to the left. Okay, so if we're going to take every x coordinate and go to the left by 2. So every point, like here at 0, 0, is now coming left 2. So we're going to start over here at -2. Up here high, we're going to go to about, let's see, that was 1.57. We're going to go backwards 2 units, so it'll be, right here, about halfway between. Then we're going to move from 3.14 back 2 units. From 4.71, we're going to move this 0 back 2 units to about right here. And then we're going to land here at about 4.28. Okay, so our actual curve with that shift looks something like that. Okay, the other thing to note here is that the period for our sine graph is still 2 pi. Okay, so when we were from 0 to 6.28, now we're from -2 to 4.28. Okay, so then if you think of that period distance, at first, if you were to cut that in half, okay, there's where we were for the 0. So I'm going to cut in half, and then I'm going to cut the halves in half, if you will. So right in here's a half, and over here we're going to cut things in half. So then you can see the sine curve plots right through there, just like it would from the basic curve. Okay, let's do a second one. Next up, we have y equals sine of x minus 1. All right, so if it's x minus 1, that's going to tell us we would like to move to the right one. Okay, no change in period, so the period we know is still 2 pi. Okay, so if I do this without putting on the gray basic curve, or I guess I could do that again real quick. Let's do that quick. Okay, so we're at 0. At about 1.57, we're at 1. 3.14, we're at 0. 4.7, -1, and then back here to about 6.28, and then you can draw your curve. Okay, and I'm not too good at drawing on here, but we're making it work. All right, so basic sine curve. All right, so then we want to move to the right 1. All right, so 1 unit. So I'm going to move to the right. I'm going to actually mark the period on this one. So we want to go from 1 to 7.28. Okay, so from 1 to 7.28. So every point is moving over. All right, so let's switch up our colors here. So we're going to start this time at 1. We'll be at 0. At about 2.57, so we're going to come to the right 1 whole, and I probably didn't graph this too good using double spaces, but we're going to be over at about 2.57. then that should shift us over to about 4.14. And then we're over about 5.71, and we land at 6.28. Okay, so I guess I'm kind of in my head doing the shift because I know if I move everything to the right one, just add 1 to all your previous x's. Okay, so then our graph this time. Okay, and I'm really bad at drawing these. I apologize. That's almost as good. I may erase this whole thing. Maybe I better not do that. Okay, all right, we'll just sort of leave it at that, and you guys can make fun of my artwork, which you would in class anyway. Okay, all right, but you get the idea. We went right 1, and our period's still 2 pi. All right, continuing on down here. Okay, now our new number is in a new location. Okay, it is not inside the parentheses like this previous one up here. Okay, we're on the outside. Okay, so on the outside, that's going to tell you if you're moving up or down. So in this case, up 2. Okay, and I want to talk a second about a midline. Okay, if I haven't talked about that previous, we'll throw it in here now. Okay, so the midline, and I'll use this previous graph, is what cuts this in half between the upper and the lower section. Okay, so our midline on this one, you think of it just the x-axis. All right, so when you have an up or a down motion, you're going to move the midline first. All right, so I want to take this x-axis and just think of it as if we're sliding it up here 2 units. So we're going to go up. Okay, and we're going to treat that like our x-axis. Okay, so when we go to plot our sine, okay, and the period, I'll ask you that again, the period on this is still 2 pi. So we're going to be graphing from 0 to 6.28, just like the basic. It's just we're going to move everything up. Okay, so if I start this one at 0, I'm starting it on my new midline, okay, where I slid that x-axis up, okay. Then at 1.57, I'm going to go up 1. Okay, so I'm going to go up at 3.14. Actually, I plotted that wrong. Back up. Back up. Sorry, everyone, for the delay. 1.57. I think I need another cup of coffee this morning. Woo! All right, 3.14. We are at 0. 4.71, we are down here at, drop down 1, and then at 6.28, we're back to 0. Okay, so then our curve, something like that. It looks thinner because I scaled this. I use 1 block per counting number up, and previous I've been using 2. Same idea though, okay? So that just shifted us up, and we had to move that midline up, okay? All right, one more. See if I can do it without having issues with the pen. All right, so this one we have a -1 in the front, okay? So that's going to tell us to shift down 1, okay? So take that midline, drop it down, okay? So we're going to take the x-axis and go down. Okay, so there he is, okay? Then from there, that's the only kind of transformation. We still have a period of 2 pi. Okay, so we should be able to do our graph. So we'll start here at 0 on the midline, okay? At 1.57, we're going to go up 1. 3.14 on the midline at 0. 4.7, down 1. And back to 6.28, we are at 0. Okay, so then if I draw my graph, okay, there's my sine. Okay, period was 2 pi, and I apologize, I could have marked that to begin with, okay, with the orange. So the period would be from here to here, okay. And in that first example, I said something about once you have the period, cutting things in half, okay. So let me say that again now that this graph is drawn. Okay, so if I have my period marked, if I go halfway between 0 and 6.28, I am in fact right here at 3.14. If I then cut each half in half, we're going to find the location of our other critical points. So we're from 0 to 3.14, 1.57 drops in. Okay, so here. From 3.14 over to 6.28, 4.7 joins in. So we actually are sectioning that period by cutting things in half to find the location of our points. I think that thought will be useful as we move forward and we have multiple transformations in one. And that'll be called a sinusoid. Stay tuned to the next video. Have a great day.